Hello and welcome to Integrated Pest Management, IPM, and to the Safe Legal Pesticide Handling Practices. IPM is an approach to pest control which focuses on preventative measures and dictates that pesticide only be used if all other non-chemical control measures are exhausted, or in a combination of control measures to achieve long-term pest control. A pesticide application is usually considered a short-term solution which requires retreatment over a period of time. Our goal should be achieve a long-term solution and reduce the number of pesticide applications we need to make. Still, pesticides are a very important part in most integrated approaches to pest management. Pesticide is a general term for many different pest control agents which include not only insecticides or bug killers, but also herbicides or weed killers, fungicides for disease control, disinfectants or germ killers and rodenticides which are used to control rodents. These are the major groups, but there are many others. We can't help but notice the many negative pesticide information we hear about every day, but it is important to note that there are many benefits associated with pesticide use. The federal pesticide law which governs the use of pesticide, FIFRA, is a cost-benefit statute. In other words, the benefits of using any pesticide must outweigh the risks in order to be registered in the United States. Benefits include disease prevention and they improve our comfort and aesthetics of our environment. Probably the most controversial benefit derived from the use of pesticides are they also increase the quality and quantity of food supply. Consumers are more aware of dietary risks, and pesticides can be a risk if they are not used safely or legally. If pesticides are not used as they are labeled to be used, we will lose this important pest control measure and the food supply would be negatively affected. Pesticides are classified in different ways. The most common way is by the chemical type or structure. Depending on the type of pest we want to control, we can select a pesticide product which acts against a pest growth process which is necessary for development. For example, we can select an insect growth regulator which will eventually kill an insect because it is unable to molt. Finally, we can classify a chemical by acute risks associated with it. Pesticide acute risks can be classified as highly toxic, moderately toxic or low in toxicity. Pesticide active ingredients are mixed in a variety of dry and liquid formulations, and are sometimes classified by formulation. Each formulation has advantages and disadvantages which we will discuss later in this presentation. Examples of the most common chemical insecticide classifications include organophosphate, organochlorine, carbamate and botanicals. There are a number of active ingredients in each chemical class and examples of each are given in this slide. Many of the older pesticide products are being phased out in favor of safer chemicals in these chemical classes. New chemical classes are being developed that are safer and in some cases more effective. However, the trade-off is that the chemicals are more expensive. There are numerous chemical herbicide classifications. Three of the most common classifications include chlorophenoxyacids, sulfonylureas and triazines. Examples of common active ingredients in each of these classifications are still registered for use today and include 2,4-D, metsulfuron and atrazine. Herbicides are classified by how they work once they come in contact with the plant. There are at least 8 different modes of action and a few of them are listed here. Plant growth regulators do exactly that. Pre-emergent pesticides generally kill plants as they emerge. Seedling growth inhibitors. Photosynthetic inhibitors prevent the plant from producing food as do pigment inhibitors. Cell membrane disruptors are generally contact herbicides which destroy plant cells and green tissue. As mentioned earlier, insecticides can be classified by mode of action as well, like dimilin, an active ingredient which functions as an insect growth regulator. Rodenticides such as difecinone act as an anticoagulant, which prevents blood clotting and will eventually kill the rodent once enough of the chemical is consumed by the rodent. Pesticides are formulated to match the application equipment which will be used, and each type of formulation has both advantages and disadvantages. Aerosols are ready to use but are more flammable. Baits, dusts and granular material can be placed exactly where we wanted and application equipment is inexpensive. Emulsifiable concentrates or EC formulations are liquid, easy to measure and mix, but they are more hazardous to use, especially if they are spilled on the skin. Soluble and wettable powders will not burn foliage but can clog spray equipment. Pesticide labels are legal documents and the directions on the label must be followed. For that reason, many pesticide labels look similar but have different information. There are 11 major sections on a pesticide label, each section containing information which is important when you purchase, use or dispose of a pesticide product. The most important part of a pesticide label is the active ingredient statement. Many people are familiar with brand names that do not always tell us what the active ingredient of the pesticide is. The active ingredient is the chemical which acts against the pest we are trying to control. Usually pesticides are formulated to include inert ingredients which help improve the effectiveness, safety or ease of use of the product. The inert ingredient is not required to be identified and in some instances, is more hazardous than the active ingredient. The inert ingredient is confidential information, but usually can be identified by contacting the manufacturer. If the inert ingredient is hazardous, it has to be identified in the safety data sheet or SDS that goes along with the pesticide label. The second most important element of a pesticide label is the signal word. Pesticide labels identify the active ingredient and uses a pesticide signal word to give the user an idea of how acutely toxic the active ingredient is. A caution signal word would indicate that this pesticide is low in toxicity. It would take a pint or more, ingested by an average-sized person, 150 pounds, to be fatal. Acute pesticide toxicity may result from a short-term exposure to a pesticide. If the pesticide dose received by the pesticide handler is high enough, then acute toxicity may result. Symptoms include nausea, vomiting or allergic-type reactions. If the pesticide handler does not seek medical treatment, serious illness or death may occur. The pesticide signal word does not give us any indication of chronic toxicity, however. Chronic exposure may result from exposure to a pesticide over a long period of time. On the other hand, the signal word which indicates the highest level of toxicity is danger and/or poison. A taste or teaspoon ingested by average-sized person, 150 pounds, may be fatal. If danger and poison are used together, then the Spanish word peligro must also appear. If the signal word danger appears without the word poison, the pesticide may be corrosive, it might cause irreversible eye damage or could possibly cause severe skin injury. A pesticide label with a warning signal word would indicate that the pesticide is moderately toxic and a teaspoon up to a pint of the product may result in the death of an average-sized person. A pesticide label displaying the signal word caution indicates that the pesticide is considered to be low in toxicity. An average-sized person would have to ingest over 1 pint of material to be in risk of death. Not only are these products considered to be slightly toxic, but the risk of eye and/or skin irritation is low. Precautionary statements identify potential hazards from the use of the pesticide, and this information can be used to minimize or avoid risk. For example, synthetic pyrethroids, which are considered to have low mammalian toxicity, are generally highly toxic to aquatic organisms. You would find this information in the precautionary statement section. In addition, you might also find a list of individual species which are threatened or endangered and are particularly sensitive to the pesticide product. Precautionary statements advise us of other hazards associated with the use of the product, which specific hazards to humans or domestic animals, environmental or chemical hazards. Examples may warn of feeding treated foliage to cattle, hazards to groundwater or aquatic organisms, and flammability. If pesticide exposure occurs, instructions for treatment and first aid can be found in the precautionary statement section. Common symptoms of acute pesticide poisoning are described, and in most cases, the user will be instructed to take a copy of the label to the emergency facility for treatment. Older pesticide labels would recommend antidotes which can be administered in the field. However, these treatments are no longer recommended. Some decontamination steps can be taken in the field before transportation to a medical facility, like washing and removal of clothing to reduce exposure. All pesticide labels include the statement, "Keep out of reach of children." This statement is required. Many tragedies could be avoided if pesticide applicators are observant of this precaution. Data collected by poison control agencies indicate that 80 of accidental pesticide poisonings reported involve children. Instructions on pesticide labels must be followed to assure that no adverse or human health effects result from their use. In addition to this, if directions for use are not followed, the pesticide will not control the pest it is intended to control. The crop, animal or site the pesticide product is designed to be used on or against must be on the label. However, keep in mind under FIFRA Section 2E, it is not always required that a pesticide label list every pest the pesticide will control on the label, as long as the site of application is identified. Other information that can be found in the directions for use section include dilution rate, minimum time between application and entry, and phytotoxic effects that may occur if application rates are not followed. It is not illegal to mix 2 or more pesticide products together, unless the pesticide label prohibits it. A prohibition would exist if 2 or more products are incompatible. A pesticide will not be effective unless it is applied at the proper time. Where and how the pesticide should be applied can be found in the directions for use section, along with the proper pesticide application to be used, correct dosage rates, and the mixing directions. It is necessary at times to contact the pesticide manufacturer for information about the pesticide. For this reason, the name and contact information for the pesticide manufacturer must be included on the label. Phone numbers and internet sites for applicator information is also included on the most recent version of the label. All registered pesticide labels must include the pesticide registration number assigned by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency or EPA. Reduced-risk pesticide products exempted from registration will not have a registration number. For all registered pesticide products, you will also find an EPA establishment number on the label. If there is problem with the pesticide product, then it can be traced to the manufacturing facility where it was made. All pesticide producing establishments must be registered by EPA as well. Instructions to safely dispose of empty pesticide containers can be found in this section of the pesticide label. Pesticide containers can be punctured, rinsed and offered for recycling. Depending on the size of the pesticide container, different steps must be taken as described on the label. Larger containers, 55 gallons or larger, can be refilled if all the proper fittings and valves are present, and only with the same product. Some containers cannot be reused and or refilled, and must be cleaned thoroughly prior to disposal. If the cleaning instructions are followed, then the empty container becomes a solid waste, not a hazardous waste, and can be disposed of in the landfill. Instructions for burning are no longer included in the disposal instructions because burning of pesticide containers are normally prohibited by state or local environmental agencies. Normal agricultural activities are normally exempted from some state environmental regulations, but burning of pesticide containers are not considered to be a normal agricultural activity. In summary, failure to read commonly used pesticide product labels will result in an environmental or human health effect. High-level episodes that result from misuse will result in a significant penalty. There are no excuses for not reviewing a pesticide label prior to using a product since there are many options available. The Internet offers multiple websites, including the manufacturer's website and the US EPA Pesticide Product Label System, PPLS. Of course, every pesticide container includes a label, but in some instances requires an applicator to visit the manufacturer's website for some additional information. If an applicator chooses to use a service container, which is a smaller container used to transport concentrated pesticide, then some basic information needs to be attached to this label so that an applicator will know precisely what is in it. If internet service is available, a specimen label can be reviewed on a cell phone, but not be sufficient to meet state regulations. Once an applicator becomes familiar with a pesticide label, the next step is to become familiar with safe handling practices. Many times we are talking about using common sense, and thinking ahead before using a pesticide product. Planning and training will help an applicator identify and utilize these best management practices, no matter the pest application method. Some precautions are consistent no matter what. An applicator needs to be aware of any sensitive area in the surrounding area. These could be schools, water supplies, recreational or residential areas where persons, and most importantly, children are present. Once we are aware of these areas, we can take steps to prevent drift, overspray and most importantly, adverse effects. By taking steps to protect him or herself, an applicator must wear the proper protective equipment. It is not only important for personal protection, but to make sure that persons watching the application know the applicator is professional, not only protecting his or herself but protecting the public as well. The site of the application must be on the pesticide label and it is necessary to calibrate the sprayer or application device. Do not eat, drink or smoke when using pesticides, and wash your hands thoroughly with clean water bar soap because liquid soap may help to pesticide penetrate skin more easily. Although less common, persons who use soft contact lenses should avoid wearing them. Always take the necessary steps to avoid excessive exposure to pesticide residue and use pesticides in well-ventilated areas to avoid breathing spray mist. As mentioned previously in the label discussion, pesticide container disposal instructions vary depending on the size of the pesticide container. What was not mentioned is that pesticide storage instructions can also be found in this section of the label, as well as how to dispose of rinse aid and excess spray mixture. Emergency contact and response information is often present in addition to the poison control. Labels will also direct applicators to contact the local environmental control agency for guidance. In some instances, states or local agencies, the fire marshal, for example, have regulations other than what can be found on the label which govern pesticide storage and disposal. In every situation, pesticide must be stored in locked cabinets out of reach of children. If pesticides are stored in original containers with original labeling, there will be no mistake on what is in the container or how the product is to be used. It is helpful to write the date when a pesticide was put into storage or purchased on the label with a permanent marker. This will make sure the older products are used first and will help the applicator to determine when a product's useful life has come to an end. Even under the best conditions, pesticide products break down over time and will no longer be effective. Metal containers must be kept dry to avoid rust and sealed tightly after each use to avoid degradation. By storing pesticides away from food, feed, seed and fertilizer, contamination, phytotoxic and human health effects will be prevented.